Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest business chat with me, Glenys Chatterley from EBN, which some of you might know is Effective Business Network. Today, I've got with me, as it says on the screen, just to make it easier for me, I've got Penelope Allard, and I think Penny's okay. Is that right,
Yes,
Penny?
Penny's fine. Yes.
Fantastic. And she's very kindly put her company name on because some of you will know I'm getting old and I forget things. So while bookkeeping, and it's a funny, isn't it funny that you wouldn't put wild with bookkeeping? I'm just saying, yeah. And bookkeeping is one of my favourite words. Double O, double K, double
Okay.
E.
It's the only one in the English language with three doubles.
Yes, I love it. It's a great word. Anyway, we're diversing already. We're getting off track. So, what we're going to be talking about today is, well, business, accounts, bookkeeping, who knows, really.
Yeah.
Let's just see where this goes. So, Penny, welcome and tell me a little bit about you, how you got from where you were to where you are.
So I actually started bookkeeping when I was about 12 or 13.
Wow.
So it's only yesterday, So
Yes, of
yeah,
course,
of
a couple of
course.
weeks ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So my dad had his own business. He had a wallpaper and paint shop.
Yeah.
And when I was tiny, I used to go in and dust the paint tins. And then as I got to a teenager, I needed a Saturday job. Teenagers get expensive. So I used to go into the shop after school and dad taught me how to keep the books. So not a computer in sight, not even a calculator, proper old fashioned red ledgers, writing everything out. And we had a mixture of trade and retail. So there was the age debtors to keep going and all the supplier accounts. So I started writing that up from when I was 12, 13,
Yeah.
going in every day after school. And when I got to sixth form, I decided I wanted a proper job. I didn't want to work for dad anymore. And we were having a bit of an argument about it. And dad's accountant popped in and said, well, if you want a job over the summer, can you type? So I said yes, because mum made me do typing at school, which I thought was a completely pointless exercise. But actually, oh my God, it's probably the most useful subject I did. And so he said, well, my secretary's just handed a notice in. If you could come in and do 2 weeks secretarial cover, I will give you 4 weeks work experience, 2 weeks in secretarial, 2 weeks doing accounts, and I'll pay you for all four.
Wow.
So I did that over the summer holidays, really enjoyed it. And he said, look, if you decide not to go to university, I'm more than happy to offer you a job when you finish your A levels as a training contract to train as an accountant. So sadly, my mum had cancer and died just before my A level results came out. So I decided not to go to uni and to take up his offer. So I did that, worked in practice for a year or so, and then decided actually I'd rather work in industry. I think because I started in my dad's business, I wanted to work in a business, not take things at the end of the year with an audit, pull it all apart, pick holes in everything.
Yeah.
So I transferred to working in industry, which I loved. And I did that right the way through until my children came along. And I worked up, I was the assistant management accountant for Texaco UK in London. So, really good career. Children came along, didn't really want to go back to London. So, I started teaching AAT at the local college, which I really enjoyed. And that worked out really nicely because I would spend all day with the baby. And then literally my husband would arrive home from work. Here's the baby. And I'd run off out the door and leave him with the grizzly baby for bath and bedtime. And I would go and teach. And that worked really nicely until it got to the point that my third one came along. And I've got 7 years between the oldest and the youngest.
Right.
And by then, my older one was going to guides and all sorts of things like that. But the baby was in bed and asleep. And actually, teaching evening classes was getting quite complicated by then with the logistics. And a friend said to me, look, we've got a backlog in our bookkeeping at work. I don't suppose any of your students would be prepared to come in and do a bit of work. So I said, well, actually, I'll come and do it because at that point, Isabella needed extra ballet lessons as well. And I'm thinking, how am I going to pay for the ballet lessons? So
Mm.
I went in to help out a friend, and then it just sort of snowballed. Word of mouth went round. And before I knew it, I had my own bookkeeping business and I
Oh.
gave up the teaching. And it gave me the flexibility that I needed to work around the children.
Mm.
So I've
Mm.
been really fortunate I've always worked, but I've never ever felt like a working mum. I've
mm,
always been able to put the children first.
mm,
And that's something that's really important to me now in my practice and for my
mm.
staff, is to make sure that we've got flexibility. Family is just really key and
Yeah,
really important.
yeah. That's fantastic. What a great story. But it's also, people go, oh, yeah, but, you've had it easy. Actually, all you've done is you've taken the opportunities that were presented to you.
Yeah, yeah, as
I mean, that's what you have to do. You have to,
exactly.
yeah. So that's fantastic. So, what is it about bookkeeping that you enjoy? What is it that floats your boat?
What I love, I really enjoy the different industries I get to see.
Mhm.
So I get a huge amount of variety with different clients that we work with. Some of them are in the same industries, which is nice because you can look at comparisons and you know what works with one, you know where the efficiencies are that you can gain.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy seeing a variety of different businesses. What I love the most though is taking clients who are scared of their numbers and don't really understand their numbers, and helping them to understand and use those numbers to grow their business. So often, in fact, I was only talking to a client yesterday, a new client that came along, and they didn't understand anything their accountant was saying to them, and they just signed off the accounts without really knowing and understanding those numbers. And you can get so much benefit in your business by looking at those numbers. If you understand those numbers, you can plan and you can grow. Everything that happens in your business goes through your bank account.
Mm,
And if you understand those numbers and you use them effectively,
yeah.
and so many business owners, they're scared of their numbers, they're scared to ask the questions.
Mm.
And I
Isn't
really,
that, go on,
yeah, I,
sorry.
I say I just really love it when I get someone that's come to me really frightened and really scared, and we can work together, and then they understand their numbers, and actually they start to enjoy their business again.
Yeah. I think it's also just generally, people go, oh, I don't do maths. Oh no.
Yeah,
And I say, of course, accountant, it's they go, oh, accountant. And it's got a pound sign in front of it.
yeah,
The better you understand it, the more you can make dirty, dirty, dirty. So
yeah. And I,
yeah,
I think because I taught it for years, it,
yeah,
it makes it easier for me to actually explain those concepts and get them across to my clients as well.
yeah, fantastic. So if somebody were looking for a bookkeeper and accountant, whichever you want to go with, what are the three sort of things that questions they should be asking of a potential new bookkeeper, accountant, whatever?
So the first thing to look at really is whether they're regulated. What people don't realise is that bookkeeping and accounting is not a regulated profession. So
Mm,
anybody can call themselves a bookkeeper, anybody can call themselves an accountant. Um, and people just don't realise that. So
no,
the first thing to do is to look at whoever you're employing. As you can see, I've got my practice license here behind me.
well done.
So look and make sure that they're actually regulated and insured by a professional body, and then look at who that professional body is, because there are professional bodies out there that will allow you to be a member based on experience, not based on qualifications,
Right.
which may be fine because some people are really experienced
Yes.
and that's really good. So that's not saying that that's bad,
But
but
some
just
people are
just
inefficient right the way through.
yeah, and if somebody is qualified by experience, you want to double check them. Well, what is that experience?
Yes.
Where have they got it from?
Yes.
So have a look and check. And there's a huge variety. So somebody could call themselves an accountant, and actually they've got no qualifications and no experience whatsoever. Somebody could call themselves a bookkeeper and have years and years of experience and be qualified and regulated.
Yes. And what else would you say? So that would be the most important. What else would you say that people, there are the two that people would say, or have you done? I mean,
No, I was going to say, make sure it's somebody that you gel with as well. So whenever I take on a new client, I normally have a 15-minute discovery call first.
yeah,
And then they say, so how much would it cost? And I say, no, hang on, we'll book a proposal meeting for that,
yeah,
because that takes an hour, and we'll go
yeah,
through everything in detail and really look at exactly what services you need, what software, what's right for you. But
mm,
before I jump into an hour-long meeting to say what this is going to cost, I actually want to just have a chat with somebody and meet them. Do I like you?
absolutely.
Can I
Yeah,
work with
always
you?
important. Always in, and people go, oh well, this they didn't book me. Well, that's okay. It's
Yeah,
not personal. It's about gelling, and some people you gel with, and some people you don't.
exactly.
You
And
know.
when you're looking at your numbers, it's actually quite an intimate relationship.
Yes.
People are very cagey about their bank accounts and what they do and
Yeah.
don't want to share.
Yeah.
You've got to feel comfortable with the person that you're working with. You've got to know that you can ask those silly questions. You've got to be
Mm,
comfortable that, "Do you know, Eek, this is a really difficult month. I don't know how I'm going to pay everybody this month."
mm, mm.
And to be able to admit that to somebody and share that, that's really
Yeah.
important, that my clients can have that relationship with me and not
Yeah.
feel they're going to be judged. Because if they don't come to me with those questions and those problems, we can't sort them out.
No. So let's move on to, as a business owner, what sort of things would you say to people? What do you wish as a business owner you'd known beginning
Oh,
rather than other, what are they? Because I can give you a list. Mine's about 72 on my list, but give me
yeah.
your three.
So for me, what made a massive change to my business, because I was ticking along, it was pin money, earning money for the kids
Mm,
really, and I didn't really, it was never intended to be a proper grown up business in a way.
mhm.
And then I got divorced and everyone said, "So you're going to go and get a proper job?" And it's, well, I've got a proper job. I just need more clients.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
kind of started off with not really a business and then it morphed into a business. So I had my rebrand and Wild Bookkeeping was born, whereas before it was just Penelope Allard Bookkeeping Services. So I started off without really thinking about it. I just fell into it, doing some work for a friend, had to be registered and regulated because you've got to have money laundering regulations and everything else. So I ticked all the boxes, got it set up as a proper business, but I hadn't really thought about it properly. So I think your business name is really important. Having your brand is essential.
Yeah.
I gave no thought to that at all when I first set out. And Penelope Allard Bookkeeping Services doesn't really say anything about who I am, what I
No.
do.
And it
It
is actually you. So
Yes,
it makes that makes more difficult if you're going to sell it.
exactly. And
You
when I
know,
got to the point where I got divorced, and I thought, actually, I need to grow a business. I don't want to be a freelancer or just own a job. I want a business. So if you're going to
yeah,
have a business, it needs to have a proper name, a proper brand, and it needs to be separate from you.
yeah, yeah.
You
And
need to think about the structure of the business. I see so many people that have set up limited companies which are expensive to run and expensive to do the counts, and they didn't need to be a
no,
limited company.
no,
So speak to somebody before you start and make sure that your company structure is appropriate for what you want to do.
yeah, yeah.
Um, get your pricing right and build a support network around you.
Yeah,
So
and there we go. We go on
yeah,
to networking, which is, I hammer on about this about, getting people around you, getting the people around you who you want to share time with, and that
yes,
can be on a, oh my God, you never guess what's happening in my day, to the I'm thinking strategy,
yeah. Having
excuse
someone
me.
that you can bounce ideas off. So I
Yeah,
do two types of networking, and really, so I got divorced in 2014. 2015, I thought, right, I really need to grow my business and get going. And I grew it completely on my own to the point where I was full time. And then COVID, but I still hadn't taken that leap to take on staff and really move from a job to a business. Then COVID hit, and I was really worried and really scared. Single parent, three kids, two had just come back from uni. And what's going to happen if I was charging clients hourly, which is a really bad idea because I don't sell time, I'm selling a service.
yeah,
And I thought, what if my clients shut down? What if they, if their businesses go, my business goes, what
mm,
am I going to do? So whereas I'd been turning clients away, I then invested in Go Proposal, which is brilliant pricing software, got my pricing sorted out, started marketing myself, and my business grew and I took on staff.
yeah,
And then because of COVID, it was much easier to network in a way. There was more Zoom things going on. I started networking a lot with other bookkeepers.
mm,
And actually, that's something that's wonderful within the bookkeeping community. There's plenty, and everybody needs a bookkeeper. There's plenty enough work to go around.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
I've got really good friends within my industry that I can turn to. So, for example, yesterday I had something from a new client and the figures just didn't make sense that I'd inherited from my predecessor. And I could send anonymized data to a colleague of mine, another bookkeeper in another practice, because I wasn't feeling too well either, and just say, I've got a blinding headache. I'm looking at these numbers. They really don't make any sense to me. Could you just double? And she
yeah,
came out, they
yeah,
don't, you're quite right. They really don't make any
yeah,
sense. And so having a support network of other bookkeepers around that I can
Yeah.
bounce ideas off. If you get a problem with a client that you can just say, I'm just not sure about this, or have you come across this before?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you just point me to the right place? Or I need something done really quickly. Can I subcontract
Yes.
this out to you and help
Yeah.
out?
I think that's it. I think it's that I have a theory that none of us have competitors,
No,
because even if people do exactly the same, people will choose you because of some random reason, and it
e-
might just be they like you best,
exactly.
and that.
And sometimes I get clients that come to me, and when I have that 15-minute discovery call, I think I really can't help you because
Yeah,
you're in an industry that I don't really know that much about, and actually it's specialized. But do you know what? I know that my friend elsewhere is a brilliant bookkeeper, and she would be perfect for you.
yeah, yeah,
So
and that means that customers never, or even potential customers never go away thinking they've been rejected.
yeah,
It's about, I'm not, because I always have more confidence in somebody who says they don't know everything
yeah,
than somebody who says they do know everything, because
definitely.
you can't know everything,
No,
in the best will in the world. And that's, I think, one of the things also I get from networking, that thing about, you know, just everybody will give you information if you
yeah,
ask for it. Or sometimes people tell you stuff randomly and you
yeah,
think, oh, I didn't know that. And more importantly, I probably should have done.
exactly.
You
And
know what I
and
mean?
I found with networking, it's not just if you get referrals and you get work from it, that's fantastic. But actually, there are two sides. Or I suppose there's three elements to networking. You've got referrals that hopefully people will know, like, and trust you and give
Yeah.
you work for themselves and refer others to you. So obviously, referral and getting a return on your investment is important.
Mm.
But there's the social side to it because my employed friends don't really get why I work evenings and weekends, or
No.
they think if you're at home all day that you're available for coffee at a drop of a hat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Whereas other business owners just get it.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to have friends and have that social contact with people who are other business owners that get those problems and get those issues that you have around trying to run a
Yeah.
business and have a personal life.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, it's knowing that, I mean, often as a bookkeeper, you do become that trusted advisor. I become really part of a team within
Mm.
my clients that I work with. And they come to me with all sorts of issues and all sorts of problems. Penny, how do we solve this? What do we do with that? And it's like, that's not bookkeeping. I don't know.
No. But I know somebody who'll be able to help me
But
with
yeah,
that
but when I can
information.
say, but I know exactly who can
Yeah.
help with that,
Yeah.
and then I
Yeah.
can either drop a message and ask a quick question, or
Yeah.
I can actually say, if it's a quick question, I can just say, can I just ask you this to pass it on to a client? Or I
Yeah.
can actually give a referral and say, right, you need more in-depth advice on this. And
Yeah.
having people that I can pass on to my clients again means I can give much better service to my
Absolutely.
clients,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
means I give better value.
Yeah. I think, I mean, all of that rings true. And anybody who's listened to any of my business chats will know, or it reads any of my blogs. It's that thing about working with other people, not being
Yeah,
isolated.
yeah, working on your own is a really lonely place to be,
Yeah.
running a business. And even when you've got a team around you in your business,
Yeah.
you're still at the top. The decisions stop with you and the buck stops with you.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
so having people, there's two things. Obviously, with networking, you've only got one of each person in that circle, which is
Yeah.
essential. But then at the same, so I think you need two networks. You need a network of people within your profession around you that you can turn to. So you need to do professional networking within your own industry, and
Mm.
then you need to do networking with people in others industries so that you've got
Yeah.
two elements of support there, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, I think you take from networking what you need and give everything you've got, and I
Yeah,
think then that works, doesn't it?
yeah,
So we sort of alluded to spare time. I mean, one of the things I would say is I don't work weekends and in the evenings, but that's how I choose to run
yeah.
my balance. So in your spare time, what do you do?
I swim and I sail, and
Oh,
of course
wow.
the tide in Southend comes in and out at all different times of the day. So for me, having the flexibility that I can go for a swim when the tide is in, which might be in the morning, and then I'll
Mm,
work in the evening to make up that time. And
yeah,
actually, I find lots of my clients are business owners, so they're working on their businesses during the day. So sometimes for them, actually being able to take a call of an evening or a
Mm,
weekend
mm.
is when it fits in for them. So it gives me the flexibility to be able to do the things that I want to do, which started off working around my children. And now my children have grown up and my youngest goes to uni in just under 2 weeks' time, which is
You'll be fine. You'll be
yeah,
fine. She'll be fine. It'll all be fine,
yeah,
honestly.
it'll be fine. It'll be
I've
fine.
not
Yeah.
got children, but that's what I'm told by people who
Yeah.
have children.
Yeah. So yeah, so now that the children are gone and I don't need the flexibility to work around the children so much, I love the fact that I can now work around the tides in my business.
Yeah,
So that's partly where the wild came from with wild bookkeeping.
I see. And is it
Although
this? Is it this cold, watery jumping in, and you do that?
I swim, I've done it. I started in 2012 and I've swum at least once or twice a week, more if I can, non-wetsuit all year round ever since.
Fantastic. There's some point I would like to give that a go. So not right now, and I'm guessing I'm going to wait till next summer.
Yeah.
But I'd like to have a go. So perhaps we could
Oh yeah,
organise.
no,
See,
give me a shout.
and that's what you get from networking people. You get
Exactly.
people who do stuff, and you go, "Can you? Oh, I'd like to have a go with that. That'd be lovely." So,
Exactly. In fact, I have had business meetings. I'm fortunate. I've got a beach hut down in Thorpe Bay, so I have had client meetings and network one-to-ones at my beach hut, with the option of a swim involved as well. So
woohoo! Yeah, that's where I'm going. So, on that note, I'm going to draw this to a close. It's been absolutely fascinating. And as I said earlier, a lot of people think bookkeeping, accountant, no. How fascinating was all of that, people? Come on. So, thank you very much, Penny, for your time. It's been
it's
a blast.
it's been a pleasure. Really enjoyed talking to you, Glenys. It's been
Thank
lovely.
you. And for the rest of you, please watch this to the end so that we don't mess with the algorithms. None of us are that kind of people. If you could subscribe to the channel, if you could comment and like, and then come back next week because there'll be somebody either talking to me or if you don't turn up, I'll be talking to myself. Thank you for your time, everyone. Bye.